And welcome back. Now today I'm going to show you a very simple project that I've had to implement in my house that involves these two units, which together make up a wireless doorbell system. Okay, these two are paired together and then you get umpteen tunes on here, one more annoying than the other. That's fine, and I'm sure there must be millions of these all around the world. Yeah, and in the middle I'm going to have this Arduino Uno. Well, actually, it's not going to be an Uno, it'll probably be a Nano, but that's for later on. Why do I need this? Well, let's have a think. Yes, indeed. Now, this is a real world problem, okay? In my workshop, I have a doorbell receiver. In fact, this one here, this very one here. And on the front of my house, bungalow, there's a door push looking very similar to this. You press this and all the other receivers in the house, similar to this one, all ring. This one rings maybe 1 times out of 10, if that. Okay, so I don't know when somebody's turning up at the front door, a postman or Amazon delivery or whatever. So I miss it. Well, I miss it. My wife then has to go and deal with whoever's at the door, and I incur the wrath of my wife, who says, this is the 14th Amazon delivery this week. You go and get the next one. And I don't, because the doorbell doesn't ring. Let me just show you a little diagram and you'll see exactly what I mean. I want to give a big shout out to JLCPCB, and there's a few things I want to bring to your attention. First of all, as you can see, there's industrial 3D printing. Let's have a closer look at that, shall we? 3D printing is very easy, as it shows you here. Add your files to their website, make a click on which product it is you want it to be made from, and then just follow the directions on screen. Really, really easy. You can make shapes like these as well without owning a 3D printer yourself. You really need to give it a try. And to learn more about their 3D printing capability, watch the video with the charming Naomi, who will walk you through exactly how their system works.
Additive manufacturing is just another word for 3D printing.
Now here's the thing that will make you smile: purple PCBs. Yes, I've ordered one of these and I've used it in one of my projects. As you can see here, it looks very nice, and now they've got multiple colours, so yeah, choose the colour that suits your project the best. And don't forget the free assembly for your PCB, and it's $2 for 1 to 4 pieces, regardless of the colour of the board. You can't go wrong with that. Why not have a look at them now? So the problem is this. As you can see on screen, I have my house over here with a doorbell on it. Fine. Somebody comes down the garden path, rings the doorbell. Within the house itself, I think there are about 3 doorbells, right? So we've got one really close to the front door, so the postman or that can hear that he's rung the bell, and there's one at the back of the house, and another one in the kitchen, I think. Right, they all work absolutely fine. Not a problem. There's also another one in my workshop right at the back there. That doesn't work. Well, it probably works 1 time in 10, if that. Mainly because of, as you can see, look, it's fairly low down. So the signal from this doorbell here has got to go all the way through probably about 3 walls inside the house, all the way through to the workshop at the back, and it's just too much for it, even though the manufacturers say, something like, 1,000-foot range. What's 1,000 foot? I don't work in feet and inches really. About, well, let me see, 1,000 divided by 6 minus the number you first thought of. It should be about 100 yards, shouldn't it? Well, obviously my workshop isn't 100 yards away from my house. Gosh, I wish. Live on a ranch. You do? Oh, all right. So it's all the walls, intervening walls that aren't plaster and lath type walls. They're, brick block, and then you've got plasterboard, probably with that foil on the back. So the signal just can't get through. So my thinking was, I can put another receiver up in the attic, right? So that the signal from the doorbell here can go straight to the attic. And given that I don't actually live in a house, I live in a bungalow, right? I don't know why I drew a house. It's just, yeah, I'm on autopilot. So the signal from the doorbell can go to the attic, no trouble at all. I mean, it's within the house. All the bells ring in the house, so therefore it's got to work in the house, hasn't it? And in the house, I can then say, right, that receiver unit, that bell, can trigger another door push. So let's have another door push, bell push up here in the attic. And then that's going to send out this signal to my workshop like that, with a standard doorbell receiver there. Now you might say, why on earth are you using all these doorbells? Why don't you just put some kind of radio frequency connector in? I could use an NRF 24L01, or I could use Wi-Fi, I guess, because we're all connected up to Wi-Fi. I can use an ESP8266 or 32 or something. But I'm thinking, well, I quite like the fact I've got a doorbell in my workshop, not some bit of electronic equipment that I've then got to make it play a tune, haven't I? A proper tune. This way I can put a doorbell in there that has umpteen tunes available to me. We know it's going to work. The range between the attic and the doorbell is going to work. There's no question about whether that's going to work or not. Well, I hope not. So for £7 I can buy another doorbell with receiver from Amazon. It'll be here tomorrow. So I think that's probably my preferred approach. Okay. Now it's got to be reliable, and well, I think by detecting what's coming out of this original receiver, so up in my attic there'll be a bell actually ringing, I should be able to easily make it 100% reliable. That's the goal. Cool. I think that sort of explains where I'm coming from, and sort of half explains why I'm doing it with yet another doorbell and not something else. But of course, in the middle of all this, don't forget, this is an Arduino channel, isn't it? So in the middle, between the bell and the other door push, there's going to be that other module, Arduino based, almost certainly a Nano. So I went to Amazon, saw this cordless bell, which is identical, even though it had a different name on it, to the one we already had. Saw the price, which was £7.64. I mean, come on. I mean, how cheap do you want it? Yeah, I mean, this is both the bell push and the receiver itself. So I thought, for £7.64, I'm having that. And ordered it. Next day delivery, pretty much, I think it was. So let's take it apart now and have a look inside this bell thing and just see what it looks like. Because I need to connect things up, don't I? So this is how it's going to work for the relay setting of my doorbell. The doorbell on the front of my house, which looks amazingly like this, will be paired with this doorbell receiver. This doorbell receiver looks just like this one. It's identical. It's a plug-in unit. Yeah. It runs on 5 volts though, which is why I've got this one plugged into the 5 volts of the Arduino here. So this one will be put up into the attic somewhere where the front doorbell can reach it reliably and consistently and won't keep missing signals, right? So this one gets the signal fine. And I've discovered by looking at all the pins on this unnamed chip, because they've sanded the name of the chip off here, looked at all the pins on here, well, and here really, just to see if I could get a reasonably easy to understand signal. And this pin here gives out 8 little pulses, all within about a millisecond, whenever this front doorbell one is pressed. Now I don't really care about the 8 pulses, although I might add some more sophistication into the sketch I've got on here to say count 8 times before you start relaying anything, just to stop any kind of interference. So what actually happens though is that as the pulses come out here onto the interrupt pin on the Arduino, the hardware interrupt pin, one of the two, this then lights up the LED for now, and after a quarter of a second of all the pulses stopping, it turns the LED off, and you'll see how quickly that LED there does in fact go off. So in the fullness of time, I want this to turn on a relay like this, just a simple 5 volt relay. Now this takes 38 milliamps, so that's well within the capabilities of an Uno or Nano. I'll probably end up using a Nano actually, this is too big, isn't it? So this is fine for the Nano that I'll be using. This relay, the contacts will be across, well, this doorbell, because underneath this grey circular pad there's literally just an on-off button, a bit like this boot button on the Arduino. So this will just short out those contacts on the button. That sends another signal then to this unit, which is plugged into my workshop. But of course the distance A is shorter and it's almost line of sight. It's just got to go through the roof, not through 3 walls inside the house with that foil-backed plasterboard. So if I press this now, I've paired them up like this for now, just for testing. you'll see that this light will flash very briefly. It's quite a long tune though, unfortunately, but let's just see it happen. Yeah, watch the flash. 3, 2, 1. There we are. So that works okay, didn't it? Let me turn it down. Oh, all right. I've stopped it somehow. Hang on. What about those pulses? So that's exactly what it's going to do. I just said incidentally I might be counting the pulses before, well, turning on the relay. Like, yeah, I think I might do that. They are. You see, the 8 pulses are very easy to detect with the hardware interrupt, even though they're so very short. I mean, this thing's whizzing around, remember, at 16 megahertz, so it can easily detect all those pulses on here. No trouble at all. So that'll be a good bit of interference avoidance, I think. You know, a car going by, or a motorbike or something, you know, that'll be good for that. So in real life, what's going to happen is the front doorbell, which looks amazingly like this, will be paired with this unit, which will be reasonably close to the front door in the attic somewhere, so it gets a nice, reliable, consistent signal. This then sends it out to the Arduino, and the Arduino then triggers the relay, which triggers this doorbell, which is not my front doorbell, it's a spare one. This will trigger this button under here, which will be paired in the fullest of time to this doorbell, which is plugged into my wireless. So it's a relay, isn't it? Front door to here, here to Arduino, Arduino to relay to here to my workshop, which means I should never miss the postman again, which I'm doing at the moment 19 times out of 20. So yeah, let's see. Well, let's get this wired up. It's a pity I haven't got a PCB or something for this. Wonder if I could knock one up quick. Right, quick update after a few days. The bell has now been soldered behind it. It's only 3 wires, as I said before, plus, minus, and the actual signal wire that sends out those 8 high pulses. So that's all that does. Change the Uno to a Nano because it's smaller. Fits on this bit of strip board. I know, strip board. It's like going back to the dark ages. But anyway, it's what I had, so that's what I'm using. What else? A little tiny relay. That one I did use. That's nice and easy to use. I'll put an LED on it. Not on the same pin as the relay though, because the relay itself requires 38 milliamps, doesn't it? So it's sort of borderline. So I thought, well, we'll stick this on a different pin. And the only reason that LED's on there, given that this whole thing's going to be in my attic, is that I can see what's happening should I ever need to sort of debug what's going on. The bell push, that switch there that you can see just about, it's a little tiny button, just like the reset button on an Arduino. I've just soldered a couple of wires the other side of it, hot glued it down so it's not going to pull out, and that thing plugs into there. So I think I'm ready to screw this on the board. I've decided not to enclose this because, well, there's just no reason, is there? I mean, it's up in the attic. Who's going to see it? No one. The spiders. That's all. I think, why am I putting this into quite a valuable, enclosure when I don't need to? And this will just be screwed onto a board. As you can see, this one here's already got mounting holes drilled in it. I drilled 4 in here. Yeah, I know 2 would have done, I guess, but 4. And this, it's got a standard UK plug on it. So what I'm going to do is just get a socket that matches this, but not connect it up. So this will be plugged into a socket on the board, just to hold it in place, basically. No other reason. And the power will come from this bit here. I'll get a wall wart or something and plug it in here via the mini USB. I think we're pretty done. It's okay. Oh yes, I have changed the software running in here now, and I do add up those 8 pulses when the bell push is pressed, so that I know that I'm getting a proper signal. And if I get less than 8, for example 4, after a second it goes, right, you've had it, I'll clear those down, because that was probably a motorbike or something going past. Yeah, I know, sorry motorcyclists, I'm sure you do suppress your engines really well, but okay, that's it then. Let's put this on a board, and I guess the next time we'll be seeing this then is when it's screwed up to a rafter in my attic somewhere. Cool, okay, that's that. And here it is mounted to that board. As you can see, it's screwed nice and neat. The socket on the left isn't actually wired up, and that wire there goes all the way down, up in my attic this is, and connects to that wall wart, which is permanently powered. So 5 volts in, and that powers everything that you see there. Yeah, I think it's fairly neat. All I've got to do now is stand this board up and job's a good one. Now the code is really simple. There it is on screen. I'm not going to go through every line. Basically, it's counting the pulses from that bell. Okay, and we can emulate that using a switch rather than connecting actually up to a bell device. Now, I'm not going to go through the code. There's the ISR. That's the interrupt service routine, and all it does, look, every time that ping goes high, it just adds one to the count. And then the logic, let's whiz past the setup. There's the interrupt being set up. The logic is saying, has the count increased, or is it different in this way? Yeah, increased really. If it's increased, output what the bell count is now, and when it gets to greater than 8, basically 9, turn the LED on and reset the count really. And then after 1 second of nothing happening, i.e. when the first bell signal was detected, the very first pulse, it goes, if a second's passed since I've had anything happen on that bell push, turn off the LED if it's on, and whether it's on or not, reset the account. Did I say account? The count. Right, okay. The code will be up in the GitHub for you to have a look at, but let's emulate this on the workbench. Okay, here we are then. So I've got this connected up to this push switch here. It's the same code, the exact same code that I'm actually running live in my attic. Okay, so if every time I press this, it's like that bell push sending out that signal, except that this takes a few seconds to do the full 8, whereas the bell push does it in about 5 milliseconds. So let's, as I push, you can watch the debugging window there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, bit of switch bats, and there it is. Now as you saw, there was a couple of double counts because obviously we're getting switch bounce on here, but we don't care about that. But I didn't see the LED go on, so let's try that again, shall we? Well, I think I just probably missed it actually. We do it again. Look, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, there we go. Lights on. That's it. And when the light goes on, basically that's energizing the relay, and which then is in turn connected to the bell push. Ding dong, it goes into my workbench. Great. That's lovely. All super easy, and easy for anybody to understand that really. And of course it does use interrupts, which are the best thing since sliced bread. The real question is, what was the best thing before sliced bread? So there we have it. Project successfully implemented, and so far it's been 100% success rate. All right, hasn't missed the doorbell, and no false positives either, which is great. Yes. Now I'd be really interested actually, if you'd had this same issue, how would you have dealt with it? Would you have gone the route that I did with an actual real doorbell, or would you have chosen something else, some RF transmitter of the type that I previously mentioned, or indeed just a 433 megahertz transmitter out to some device in the workshop? Or is this the best way of doing it? I won't be changing it, but I'll be very interested to see how other people would have tackled this. Anyway, if you found this interesting, even amusing, I might say, do please give it a thumbs up, yeah, because YouTube is watching. Okay, give it a thumbs up. Do put a comment down below, because YouTube is watching. I know, they're all over us. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. I hope you're finding these videos useful and interesting. There are plenty more videos to choose, and a couple are shown below. And if you'd like to subscribe to this channel, just click on my picture below and enjoy the rest of the videos. Thanks for watching.